Imagine this. A woman spends her life sculpting herself into the perfect image, gentle, accommodating, endlessly giving. Society praises her, calls her virtuous. But beneath the surface, something festers. A quiet rage, a hunger unmet, a self buried so deep she no longer remembers its shape. What if her greatest weakness is not her fragility, but the lie that she must be fragile at all? Friedrich Nietzsche saw through this masquerade. He warned of the dangers of moral systems that preach meekness as virtue, that chain strength with guilt. But here's the unsettling truth. Many women don't need to be controlled. They've already internalized the chains. What happens when kindness becomes a cage? When self-sacrifice is just another form of self-destruction? And what if the key to real power lies not in rejecting femininity, but in mastering its deepest, most suppressed instincts? The answer will unsettle you and set you free. She doesn't realize she's been trained to shrink. From childhood, she learns that her worth is measured in softness, her ability to soothe, to yield, to disappear when necessary. Nietzsche called it the slave morality, a system that glorifies submission as noble, while branding strength as dangerous. But this runs deeper than societal conditioning. Carl Jung would say she has buried her shadow, the raw, untamed aspects of herself deemed unfeminine. Anger, ambition, dominance, these are exiled, yet they fester in the dark, emerging as self-sabotage or silent resentment. Why does she cling to this weakness? Because it feels safe. Because the world rewards her for it. Because the alternative, true sovereignty, terrifies her. Schopenhauer understood. Most prefer the misery they know over the liberation they fear. But what if this weakness isn't natural? What if it's the greatest lie ever sold to her? The next revelation will expose the cost of believing it. The tragedy is not that she obeys, but that she no longer hears the chains rattle. Every suppressed desire, every stifled outburst, every yes forced through gritted teeth reshapes her nervous system. Like Huxley's soma-drugged masses, she learns to mistake her cage for comfort. Neurologically, her brain rewires to seek approval as dopamine hits, each act of self-denial chemically reinforcing the delusion that servitude equals worth. Culturally, she becomes a ghost in her own life, praised for her emptiness, yet the body keeps score. Migraines, chronic fatigue, the quiet despair of a life half lived. Sartre warned of this. Hell is other people, but worse still is losing yourself to their expectations. The most dangerous prison has no bars, only mirrors that show you what you've been taught to see. But what if she smashes them? What awaits on the other side of surrender? The breaking point is also the turning point. The first act of war is recognition. She is not weak. She has been weaponized against herself. Nietzsche's remedy was the Bermensch, not a superior being, but one who creates their own values beyond good and evil. For her, this begins with reclaiming forbidden emotions. Let anger be information. Let ambition burn through guilt. Jungian shadow work demands she confront the exiled self, not to become cruel, but whole. History's transformative women knew this. Cleopatra wielded sexuality as strategy. Joan of Arc heard gods where others heard madness. Woolf declared, "Lock up your libraries if you like." But there is no gate, no lock, no bolt that you can set upon the freedom of my mind. Practical defiance starts small. Say no when you mean it. Want openly. Take up space unapologetically. The system will resist. That's how you know it's working. But victory requires one final, terrifying leap. Her greatest weakness was never her femininity. It was believing femininity required fragility. Nietzsche's hammer strikes here. You must become who you are, not the archetype, not the expectation, but the raw, ungovernable force beneath both. True power emerges when she stops negotiating for her humanity. When she realizes that love need not be earned through suffering, that strength isn't a betrayal of her nature, but its fulfillment. The paradox? By embracing her so-called weaknesses, vulnerability, intuition, emotional depth, as strategic strengths, she becomes utterly unconquerable. The final rebellion is this: she defines herself, not as opposition to man or society, but as a sovereign event in cosmic history. Now, ask not what she should be, ask what she is, and watch the world rearrange itself at her feet.